Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all keeping well. So the North London derby took place this afternoon. Arsenal 3, Tottenham Hotspur 1. I'll tell you what, I am still absolutely fuming. I've just literally walked through the door. So apologies for being a few minutes late. I've got some very special guests with me. I've got Richard Cracknell. Richard, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Listen, the sun comes up tomorrow morning. Got bills to pay, kids to look after, and everything. So, I'm 52 years old, Chris. So I try and do life and football, and I try and keep them a little bit separate, and I try to keep a little bit of perspective on it. So in life, I'm all good, and I hope everybody else is keeping well, and given everything that's going on around the world at the moment, football-wise, man, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. But listen, enough from me. I'm sure you've got other guests to introduce as well.
We've also got channel regular Melvin, all the way from Malta. Melvin, how are you?
I'm okay. Could be better, but that's football. The Spurs. They seem to let us down from time to time. You either get used to it. It makes you tougher. It makes you be more patient in life. Like Richard said, tomorrow the sun will come up anyway, and we move on.
Richard, want to start with you before we get into the starting lineup and talking about players, etc. Give me your initial thoughts on today's performance, because bearing in mind, the last couple of weeks, losing 3-0 away at Crystal Palace, losing 3-0 at home to Chelsea, and now conceding another 3 goals in arguably the biggest game, or one of the biggest games of our season. When you see those fixtures coming up, Chelsea and Arsenal, a week apart, you want to see some passion in these games. What are your initial thoughts on today's performance?
Well, I mean, if you go to the Crystal Palace game, completely unacceptable. A team that shouldn't be living with us, a team that we should be able to go and get a result at, no problem at all. Chelsea game, different. They're on a different level to us. Shouldn't be. And we were somewhere near them a little while ago, but they're on a different level. So I didn't quite really, worry too much about the result versus them. And I thought we had a great first half. And I said that this game today was more of a indicator of where we are as a team at the moment, because, they're not pulling up any roots at the moment either. It's a bit two bald men fighting over a comb, isn't it? Really, Arsenal and Tottenham in a football sense. So, look, you want to win it because it's the derby, so there should be that passion now to go out there and win it. And we should have been able to compete because, take away that it's a local derby. As a football team, there's somewhere around us as a team in where they are in their development at the moment. And today, Chris, was just completely spineless. It was gutless. It was unacceptable. There was just no passion now at all. And that's what really goes. I mean, if you get done 1-0, 2-1 in these games, that happens. We haven't been there and won for a long time. So it's always difficult going there. It's always difficult going to us. So you look to the performance rather than the result. And today's performance was just completely unacceptable, Chris. Completely and utterly unacceptable. And I think there's many reasons for it, which I'm sure we will get into. But as a performance, it was gutless. And you know what? You and I do Last Word on Spurs, and then you kindly invite me on here sometimes. I don't think them players get quite enough stick sometimes. We talk about this happening and that happening around the club, but those players should know that today they need to turn up. And they never did. They just never wanted it as much as Arsenal. And that, to me, is totally unacceptable. I don't care what's going on at the club and how you feel about the owners or this or that. Your personal pride as a footballer should say to you, okay, you know what? I know I've got this and that going on with the club at the moment. I know there's these and those issues, but today that gets put aside and we go out there and play like we're playing in a derby. And that never happened. And that is unacceptable.
Crackers, I tell you what, you know me very well, and I try and be as positive as I can be about Spurs, and I want to be positive about my club. But I'm really struggling at the moment, really struggling, because the thing for me, and the reason why I feel so angry, like I feel angry today, I really do, because I think that when I look at this set of players, and I know a lot of people will blame the manager as well, you know, wherever you want to put the blame, if you cannot have passion in a Chelsea home game, and you cannot have passion in a North London derby away at Arsenal, you know, what games can you show the most passion in? You know, a week apart, huge games. Why didn't the players show up for you? What is it?
Do you know what I've been saying on social media in the last couple of hours? That I do think that footballers, and in any industry, I don't think it matters what industry you're in. Your employees will always take their cues of their values and ethics from the top down. So again, I think we come back to this problem with the current owners of this club not having a full concentration on the football side of this club. And I think this weekend has been really pivotal. I watched the boxing last night and I saw a stadium and an arena which blew everything else out of the water that I have ever seen. It was absolutely stunning. It was brilliant. The lighting, the video there, everything, the way it was all set up, the facilities and everything. It's off the scale, Chris, absolutely off the scale. And there's nobody in the world, and I mean the world now, that's not going to want to get their group into that stadium, their event into that stadium.
You know what, Cracker? Sorry to stop you there. I was very lucky enough to be at the Spurs Stadium last night for the Joshua the fight. And I actually got pretty much ringside. And I tell you what, when Anthony Joshua and Usyk come out, I was right by the south stand, you know, pretty much on the pitch. But I've looked up and the south stand in front of me. And I tell you what, it gave me a real perspective of what it felt like to be a player, what a player sees in terms of fans and how the stadium is. It was absolutely electric. And the fans were singing as well in the stadium. And this is why, you know, another part of me thinks, like, if players cannot perform in that arena, in that stadium, with all of these fans, you know, really passionate fans, you know, today, I've said many times, if some of these players showed the passion that some of us fans do, we would be winning football matches. And this is what I just don't get, because we've got this fantastic stadium that these players are playing in. Why are they not delivering? Actually, Crackers, before I come back to you, let me just get Melvin's initial thoughts. I know that we've got so much to talk about, and I'm sorry that some of what I will probably be saying today is going to probably be a bit ranty, because I'm very down. I'm very annoyed by the performance today. Melvin, let's come to you. Your initial thoughts on today's game.
I don't know where to start, really, because you really have to see the root of the problem, not today's performance, because this has been coming, I guess. You know, we started the season well, this season, playing a system with Højbjerg and Skip and Dele in the middle. And it was working. And then with the Crystal Palace match, okay, we had injuries, we had people still in South America, you know, we had the red card. Okay, then you sort of have to like close an eye and see, okay, that's a one-off result. Against Chelsea, we started off okay, but then we completely, you know, we lost the game. We lost the game completely, but we've lost to them before. And you say, okay, but this against Arsenal, you know, your London rivals, now it's sort of like, it's not acceptable, is it? You can't accept it.
No.
And I blame Nuno for his decisions. You know, The reason last season, in my mind, I was thinking, I don't want Jose to get sacked because I don't want to go through another process of. Now he realized that you cannot play in Ndombele and Delhi together because it leaves the defense completely, open. They had no protection. They just walked through us. And we went through this last season with Mourinho. And now Nuno is learning every single time. I cannot trust Winks. I cannot trust Ndombele. I cannot trust this player. He has to go through it all over again. And that's why, in my mind, Jose, we never lost 3-4-0 last season. It was either by a goal or two. Last season, we went to Stamford Bridge and we got a point. Why didn't we defend? They said, oh, we want an attacking Spurs, the DNA. They talked about this. To be honest, I rather defended today and lost 1-0 or maybe took a draw out of the Emirates than lost 3-0. We have to play to our strengths. The formation doesn't suit us, the 4-3-3. We don't have the players for 4-3-3. So why don't we play to our strengths regardless? In my mind, I keep thinking, he's telling him to play in Ndombele because we bought him for 60 million. He's telling him to play Dele Alli so his value doesn't drop. In my mind, this is what I'm thinking. And there's problems from the time we had at Pochettino, problems that we have from Jose that are still here. And there's just too many things are catching up with us all at once. And we haven't got enough players in to make a difference. We're still struggling and feeling that summer that we didn't buy any players for how many days. We're still struggling from that because we needed these players 2 seasons ago to bed in, and we need them now. And now we're still waiting for these players that we got in to bed in. Players like Hill, who I like. We're miles off it. We're so far off it. It just seems to me that Nuno's obviously trying. He's still learning on the job in a way. Because I see so many things wrong with the team. In the beginning of the season, I thought I liked the formation against City. I liked Skip, Dele, and Højbjerg together. Why did he change it? Why change a winning team? The formula was working. There was so much protection for the back line. Why were we so open against Arsenal? Why go to the Emirates and try to press? Jose would have put 10 men behind the ball and lump it forward. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a London derby. Do it. I don't understand why these decisions, when I saw the lineup, I texted my girlfriend and I said, this is going to be, I think we might lose here. We were speaking this week, Chris, me and you. And I told you we might win. Because in my mind, I thought we're going to play exactly the same way we played against City. Sanchez and Dyer. I was happy to see Tanganga back. I thought we were going to be defensive, play on the counter-attack, play to our strengths. But we didn't play to our strengths. Dele is not the same player he used to be. He's not playing in the right position. He doesn't have Eriksen feeding him the ball. He doesn't have, Wanyama and Dembele behind him covering. Ndombele and Dele Alli were all facing our net when the ball, they're still outside the box. We had no protection. They just walked through us. And this happened last season many, many times under Jose. Many times. The team just walked through us. There was no protection. Nothing.
Crackers, let's come to you. Comment on screen now from Jason. Literally the worst so-called performance I've seen in my 41 years supporting Spurs. So fed up. Knew that Nuno was too average for such a huge job. What are your thoughts on Nuno Espirito Santo? Because I've got to admit, I have never ever in my life asked for a manager to be sacked. Even when Jose Mourinho was playing that style of football last season, because like Melvin, where do we go from there? And of course, Nuno's come in. But when you're conceding 3 goals, 3 consecutive weeks, and then we spoke about the other games as well, like Wolves 2-2 midweek. Last week the 2-2 at Rennes, was an okay result, but performance-wise, it was dreadful. These performances are really worrying, aren't they? What do you think of Nuno at the moment? Do you think that he's going to turn it around for us?
Well, you've hit the nail on the head there, Chris. It's the performances, isn't it? You know, you look to the performance, and if you are getting beat by the odd goal, but you can see a performance, you go, okay, there's something coming. But the performances at the moment are dreadful, and you know, and losses. I mean, I worry when we have terrible performances, but maybe nick a game 1-0, because that's you're not going to get away with that forever. And with Nuno, you know, he looks out of his depth, Chris. I've got to say, he looks well out of his depth, and I worry that the clubs looked at him and gone, he looks like a diet Pochettino to us. He could come in and say the right things and go, you know, I want to bring that family atmosphere back to the team. And we all bought into it because we all went, well, you know, that's what Pochettino used to say. So he's going to try and galvanise us again. But he just doesn't seem to have that same ability that Pochettino had to be able to do that. And, you know, I mean, here's a man that was maybe 5th, 6th, 7th choice for us, even behind some lunatic from Italy that's got very questionable ethics and values on race and women in football, that even seemed to get an ask ahead of him to do the job. And then he comes in. So he looks really, really out of his depth. He looks a lovely guy, but I don't want a lovely guy at Spurs. I don't want a man that's going to say the right things. I want a man that's going to do the right things. It's as simple as that. And I mean, if you put up a value marker of somebody like Alex Ferguson, do you think he would actually put up with somebody like Undembele and Delhi at the moment with their performances? He just wouldn't play them. It's as simple as that. He'd go, you've either got to shape up or see you later. I'm dropping you. You are not going to play. I mean, Skip come on in the second half and looked like he actually cared. He looked like he actually wanted a piece of it. Brian Hill, he's come on, looked like he actually wanted to be there. He looked like he wanted a piece of it. So listen, first off, you've got to actually want it, and we're carrying way too many passengers in that team. But the bigger question than that, Chris, is if Nuno goes, then who? Because that's manager 11, 12 under Enoch's tenure, and then somebody else comes in.
Are you surprised though, Crackers? Like, the Arsenal game today was the 6th Premier League game that Nuno has taken charge of. If he is not going to be getting the best out of the players, you know, this is like a new manager bounce. He's only been there
exactly
a couple of months. If the players are not going to be playing for a brand new manager, then what?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? This group of players, there is more in them than what they're currently showing. And Nuno's not getting that out of them after 6 games. There's not this new manager bounce with him. So there's obviously something not quite right there, because I'm sorry, this group of players should be offering more in games, and especially today, more than they currently are. And Nuno is just not getting that out of them. And, you know, this is six games in at the moment. So I don't know whether there's some sort of master plan that he's trying to bring together. But, I mean, who with? There's another problem. Romero we signed, didn't start today. Hill we signed, didn't start today. Royale we signed, didn't start today. So we thought
every single player in that starting 11 was there last season.
Yes, yeah, correct. And you know what? Jose got so much stick last season because people didn't like Jose. I didn't like Jose, but people gave him loads and loads of stick because they didn't like him. Well, I'm sorry, but you have to apply the same values that you applied to Jose to Nuno. It's as simple as that. Because he comes on after the game and says, or we're all hurting in the dressing room, and you know we've got to try and turn this round, but we're all a family. This is all Tottenham family. There's something Jose never done. You can't buy into that. That's fluff and nonsense, Chris. That's just PR crap, isn't it? So, I mean, you've at least got to apply your same standards that you gave to Jose to Nuno as well. And it looks like it's just not happening for him at the moment. But the bigger picture, Chris, always is if he goes, who else comes? What's he got to work with? And if he hasn't got the players to work with, why hasn't he got those to work with? And we all know why, because we never invested when we was on the up. And this it all comes back down to ENIC and how they run the football side of this club. And this is the point I was making earlier, that stadium and everything is the best in the world. Absolutely the best in the world. Do you know how difficult it is to build a new stadium from scratch and get what we've got in that stadium with that sort of old school football feeling? This is a point I was making on social media last night. That stadium's incredible. You go to the Emirates. It's a plug and play stadium. They've taken the design of Stadium de Luz in Portugal. They bought the plans literally and built that again. We've designed something from the ground up, and what a stadium! Absolutely brilliant. You go there when it's rocking. It's absolutely rocking. There's no new stadiums that can do that. And it's world class. It is absolutely world class. It's built for football, built for boxing, built for concerts, built for monster truck racing, whatever you want to host there, that place will cover it. It is incredible. And this is what I'm saying with ENIC. They've got that part of it so right. So for me, let Daniel and Donna carry on looking after that side of Tottenham Hotspur. But please step aside and let football people run the football, because I'm telling you, Chris, they've not got a clue. They have not got a clue, or they just don't care. I'm convinced that because listen, Chris, if Spurs tweeted tonight, I'm really sorry, the bank's taken away our stadium. Next week we're playing on the Marshes. Would you turn up and watch them?
Of course I will.
Exactly. Now, times that by 30,000, we'd all go. If they played in the street, we'd watch from the curb. It's as simple as that. They know that. They know that they have got a captive audience. So all they need to do is just tick it over enough to keep the people coming. That's it. When it comes to the stadium, when they host other events, if you're the Foo Fighters manager, all right, biggest band in the world, biggest rock band in the world, you want to come and play London, you haven't got to play the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah, you can play Wembley, you can play West Ham's stadium down the road, you could play the O2, you could play maybe 6 or 7, Twickenham. There's 6, 7, 8 different event places. Yeah, so Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has to be something special. Was it special last night? You've already said it was.
Incredible.
So that's what they've done. They've concentrated. They knew that they had to make that special to get those events in, yeah, because Lady Gaga, the Foo Fighters, could go and play 6 or 7, 8 different venues in London. With the football, we can't go next week to Charlton or Arsenal or Chelsea or Orient or Brentford or Fulham. We're Tottenham fans. They know we're going to turn up. So they know that they can just tick that over without having to do anything special. And that's the problem we've currently got with ENIC.
Going back to Nuno Espirito Santo, now, straight after the game, Nuno said it's a tough day for us. Me personally, we have to make better decisions. We didn't meet standards our fans deserve. So my message is that I promise we will try and fix it. Now, as you well know, after today's game in particular, a lot of people have taken to social media wanting Nuno Espirito out already. What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, okay, if you want Nuno out, fine. No problem with that. But Nuno out is such an easy thing to say. Who you bringing in? That's all I'd ask anybody. Who are you going to bring in to replace Nuno? Go if you can find somebody else to bring in, fine. Bring them in, yeah. Because we've just been through this. We went through 6 or 7 candidates before Nuno, and we couldn't get it. We couldn't get it over the line. You Italian man, Chris. I'm getting old. Wanted to come in with
Gattuso.
Conte. Conte.
Sorry.
Wanted to come in, but he wanted his team of staff to come in. Enoch turned around and went, no, not for us. No, sorry, there's 6, 7, 8 people you want to bring in with you, and we're not having that. I'm sorry. We'll bring Wham in. We'll bring in 2 members. You want Cowlin the gang in here. There's 9, 10, 11 people you want to bring in. So they've already turned down because it's too expensive. Somebody like Conte. But that he is a level above Nuno. He is, but couldn't make it work. So there you go. There's your glass ceiling again. There's your barrier. Is them wanting to be able to take that football the next step. Every way we turn, the barrier is always Enoch. And some people want to jump up and down on the high street and protest about them. Other people want to come on and do shows like this and, speak about things a little bit calmly, a little bit rationally. And this is why I always keep saying all the time that they have a business model the way they do on the football side. This is it. This is what we've got. If Nuno goes, they'll bring in nobody that's more costly than a Nuno. They won't bring a Conte in. He was too much money for them. So that's the problem we've currently got. So that's why I can't get too upset at the moment, because I can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. Melvin can't do anything about it. It's just the way they operate the club. So until such time as the business model changes or the owners change, I'm afraid this is where we are.
Melvin, let's come to you. Roy Price writes on screen now. Arsenal turned up for the North London derby. We turned up as if we were playing Rafe Rovers in a friendly. No disrespect to Rafe Rovers, by the way. Where was Christian Romero and why are we not starting Brian Hill? David writes now as well. We've played crap all season. In fact, we defended well against Manchester City, but that's it. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about Nuno Espirito Santo in particular, and as I said to Crackers there on social media, some fans do want him out, and I know a lot of fans that want him out as well. Now, Tottenham's per game ranks this season, and these are very worrying stats, by the way. Goals, we rank 18th in the Premier League out of 20 clubs. Shots, we rank last, 20th. Chances from open play, 20th. Big chances, 20th. Shot creating actions, 20th. Distance covered, 20th. Progressive carries, 19th. Successful pressure percentage, 20th. And shots allowed, 19th. Your thoughts on those stats, Melvin?
I think this question should be directed to Nuno, not me.
That is crazy, though, isn't it? Particularly when the board and the club said that we are going to bring in a manager that plays this free-flowing, attractive, attacking football. And Nuno Espirito Santo, of course, before the season started, said, he is going to make the fans proud. So, when you see those stats, and as I said to Crackers earlier, the performances, over these last, 5 games have been very, very poor.
Chris, can I just interject there? And when Daniel Levy had that to say, he told the in-house TV company that he didn't put himself up to offer for Sky or BT or somebody else within football broadcasting for them to go, well, hang on a minute, Daniel, let me just ask you about this. I mean, it's North Korean TV, isn't it? They've gone, oh, Daniel, thanks for doing an interview today. Oh, that's okay. He's been given the questions 2-3 days in advance, said the right things, and then gone away. What put the man up in front of somebody like Gary Neville, in front of, you know, Sky TV or BT. Sorry, Melvin, to interject there, but I mean, you know, it's a valid point to make. But, you know, come on, interviewed by in-house TV. How much of a grilling are you really going to get? When, but the fact is, like you said, he said those things, but we want this. Have we got it? No. Sorry, Melvin, carry on.
I think, you know, we all can see by now we're in a rebuilding season. I think under Jose, the signings that we made were like a different type of profile. You know, we were buying players with Premier League experience. We didn't look at age. You know, we brought back Gareth Bale, leaders. You know, we brought in Højbjerg. These players that we thought, and Jose thought, that we were going to win this season, that we were going to qualify for the Champions League this season, that could make an impact this season. And it didn't work out, you know, even though we were only a couple points off top four. But, you know, we got to a final. We all know what happened last season. But looking at the signings we made this season, I think the rebuild was going to take longer than one season. I think these signings that we're making are, you know, long term. You know, we don't have the money to buy ready-made players that are going to impact right away, that are going to come straight in the team, that have, you know, Premier League experience like Manchester City do and Chelsea do. We don't have that kind of money, so we have to live, you know, we have to accept these decisions. And I think that this rebuild is going to take more than one season. And the way I look at Nuno, or starting to look at Nuno, is the way I was looking at, what's his name, Tim Sherwood, when we brought Pochettino. You know, he's here. Yes, I'll support him, but I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, you know, these decisions that you're making don't really show that you're a world-class manager. I know it's only 6 games in, but so he's making mistakes. Hopefully it doesn't continue, but I'm hoping that he makes better mistakes. He sets up team. He has a plan. Under Pochettino, we always had a philosophy, a style. Maybe he hasn't implemented it yet. I don't remember how long it took Pochettino, I think till October, November, to really put a stamp on the team and get us really playing well. I think, you know, in the early days, he did struggle. Well,
sorry to interrupt there, Melvin. In the last 5 games, and this is what I'm really struggling with as well, in the last 5 games, the performances have been so poor. Have you seen any positive signs of going forward? Because for me, at the start of this season, it's all about club progression and club direction. Do you think that we are going in the right direction in these last 5 games?
In the first couple of games, the formation he was playing, when he played, you know, Dele, Højbjerg, and Skip, they were solid. We were protecting the defense. We kept 3 clean sheets in the Premier League. 3 clean sheets. With Sanchez and Eric Dyer at the back. We kept 3 clean sheets in a row as well. Not all season, in a row. So that showed me that, you know, there is progression. But then, you know, I can go over it again. You know, the Crystal Palace match, we had a man sent off. We had injuries. It's a bit unlucky because the international break completely derailed our momentum and any progression that we made. You know, these things take time to fix. And we're still struggling from, you know, the effects of Jose, and if it's gonna take time for these to fix these mistakes. You know, if it's the problem is Nuno the right man? That's why, you know, we've given him the 2-year contract. So if we don't see it really happening, we can sack him, you know, next season or whatever. But at the moment, we just have to be patient because we know what happened last season. And we know these things take time to fix. It doesn't happen overnight because we didn't spend 300 million like other clubs do. We spent nothing compared to them, and we've made really no changes. That
I get that with time. I get what you're saying, but it just feels like last season again. You like Hugo Lloris come out and done an interview straight after today's game. And it just sounded like listening to him, you know, after the Dynamo Zagreb game last season.
It's because we're still the same players.
losing 3-0. It's just, I don't know. I just feel so frustrated. It's like we're going around in circles again and again and again.
I think everyone, all fans, we still look at this side and we still have, our Champions League goggles on. When we made it to the Champions League final, I think we look at this team and we think we were nearly champions of Europe, and we were, right so close to really lifting the biggest trophy that we could lift. And I think that high put us so high, you know what I mean? That's the most proud I've been of this club. And probably that journey to the Champions League was amazing. It as a Tottenham fan, it made me so proud, and I love the club. And then just from there, it's just been slowly getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's like, when are we going to hit that bottom and we're going to start going forward? And is it going to be this season? Hopefully it is. But small part of me think it won't be, because we're still with the same players we had last season. Unless Romero all of a sudden turns into Virgil van Dijk and is our Virgil van Dijk, he's Serie A Defender of the Year. So if this guy, he still needs to bed in. Once he beds in, unless he has like an outstanding season, we're still the same players like last season. Tanganga and Oliver Skip seem like two new signings, but they are our players. They came back. This is what we were missing, these youth players to come into the team and step up. I think Skip can easily be our best player this season, bar Son. Harry Kane, I don't think gets the criticism that he deserves. Yes, he wanted to leave. Yes, the club kept him. We all wanted to keep him. Not one real Tottenham fan wanted him to leave. Because,
Melvin,
Harry Kane has done
spot
amazing
on.
things
Melvin,
for this club.
you're spot on with Harry Kane. Do you know that? You're absolutely spot on. That he wanted to go. And do you know what, Chris? I think there may be some validation in actually of letting him go and giving that money to Paratici and saying to him, right, here's your money, go and rebuild a different team. Because we've seen this season, he just doesn't look like he actually wants it. He did a bit today because it's the derby and he's a Tottenham fan. He's from a Tottenham family. But other than today, I've just Kane looks like a man that wants to go. It's as simple as that. And I think maybe we should have taken that money and gone and built a new team. And I think, that's exactly what Liverpool done with Coutinho money. It's exactly what they've done. There's just no room for sentiment in football. And if somebody wants to go, they go. It's as simple as that, Like I was saying earlier with the Ferguson point, Yap Stam started to question Fergie a little bit, stand up to him too much. No, I'm the manager. See you later. You're out the door. You're gone. Tell her goodbye. It's as simple as that. So, there's many problems at Spurs, far and wide. The board, the manager just doesn't look good enough. And those players, listen, like I said at the top of the show, those players need to look at themselves as well and get some criticism. They just don't get enough criticism at all. Delhi for me is a drop. He's as simple as that. But like Melvin said, he hasn't got that protection behind him. And Dembele, because they've spent 60 odd million quid on him, he gets a game. But, he'll pull you a goal out of nothing because he's got that sort of ability. But his defensive capabilities and that digging in and being able to be part of that side of the game is absolutely shocking. It's like, my old dad said, you wouldn't want him in the trenches next year, would you? He's just got no dig in and get involved with him at all. So, they need to look at themselves. Everybody in that club at the moment, except for the fans, needs to look at themselves. I tweeted a couple of weeks ago, I don't know a club in world football so undeserving of its fans at the moment. And a few people said, well, maybe Newcastle. Yeah, maybe you're right. But do you know what? Look, Tottenham fans are absolutely incredible. as you know, I live out in the Canary Islands now. I come back for sort of 5-6 weeks. 4 or 5 weeks ago, I've been home now, and going to the games and meeting the fans and that. Just like, we're an incredible bunch of fans, absolutely incredible. We don't deserve that. That's getting served up today. Like you don't, Chris. I've seen the effort that you put in to get him round Europe and the country to go and watch us play. To be served that up, it's nonsense. It's crap. Like, you just don't deserve it. No one deserves that.
Well, some people call it stupidity, crackers. Well, let's come on to a comment here from Craig on screen. Man alive, those players were such a disgrace. They should be made to get on the tube home like fans and made to watch Blue live in concert. Spursy 2.0. Good job Anthony's not on here, isn't it?
Listen, I'm going to step up here. I'm no Blue fan. I'll listen to things like the Buttle Surfers, the Foo Fighters, Henry Rollins. I listen to some weird old music, some really way out there. But Ant very kindly invited me along to a Blue concert. Them boys are spot on. Do you know that? They've been together 20 odd years for a boy band. When they put a show on, they're fantastic. So you take that Blue comment back, because even if it's not your type of music, you got to appreciate just our time. If our team was as tight as Blue are and a band of brothers like Blue are, we'd have half a chance of winning there today. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Carry on.
Crackers, let's stay with you. Faz writes on the screen now, right or wrong, Nuno needs a season or two. No Ryan Mason.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's an argument of like, it's 6 games in, what's he going to offer up? But like you said earlier, Chris, you get a new manager bounce, don't you? You get a little bit of something, and those stats are absolutely damning, aren't they? 20th for chances created, 20th for like kilometers run and everything. So
yeah,
it's a worry. It's a real worry what he's trying to get out of the team. I just don't like the dynamic of the management in the club at the moment, because Nuno's the manager, but Paratici and the other geezer that says he hated transfer windows, even though transfer windows, Hitchin, exactly, are sat on the bench, and they seem to be like shouting instructions, and Paratici shouting instructions, and Nuno's shouting instructions. Who's managing that team?
Yeah,
let a manager manage. That just seems a weird dynamic for me. That just seems like on Sunday morning football that you've got the manager of the team and 2 well-meaning dads that are also having a bit of a shout as well. So I don't know. That just seems a very, very weird non-football setup. Man U got their director of football sat on the bench shouting like stuff out from the side. Of City, of Chelsea, of of Arsenal, any of them, Liverpool. It's not happening now. It's just not happening there. So it just seems there's some weird football like decisions going on in the club, and nobody seems to quite know who's in charge and who's doing this and who's doing that. It's off. It's dysfunctional, Chris. I think is the best thing. Is the best way to describe it. It just seems absolutely a dysfunctional football family at the moment, and somebody's got to come along and go, sorry, that's not the way it is. You've got non-football people in Levy and Donna Cullen and Matthew Caldecott, and everybody else seems to be, dipping their hands in the cookie jar of the football decisions. No, just give it to 1 or 2 people. Let them have their key performance indicators, make sure it's happening, and like they'll either be a success, and if they're not, then away they go. But just too many people seem to be wanting to be taking football decisions in the club that don't simply understand football.
Melvin, let's come to you. Comment on screen now. You mentioned about a rebuild earlier, and it's going to take time. Comment on screen now is saying it feels like a 23-year long rebuild and building for the future. As I say, it's just so frustrating, is it? Because, you know, for people who watch this channel on a regular basis, I'm talking about, you know, us progressing and moving forward and trying to win trophies and everything. At the moment, we just seem like we are miles and miles away. And the real problem for me is like the decline. And it just seems like a rapid decline. Because as you said earlier, 2 years ago, we were in a Champions League final. And now we're going downwards very, very quickly.
My biggest fear when I think about it, because I'm a massive Tottenham fan, and I don't stop thinking about the club and, you know, the situation that we're in. I spend literally all day when I work in the weekends. I'm always thinking about this. And my biggest fear is that, you know, we're still an attractive club because we were in the Champions League. We're known to play attractive football. You know, these players are choosing to come to Tottenham. Some of them, you know, some of them had offers from other big clubs. But for how long? If we're not back in the Champions League, for how long? How many more seasons can we attract these players? If we're out of the Champions League for another 1 or 2 seasons, you know, these big players, you know, like Jules Koundé, we had a fee agreed with him, but he wanted to go to a Champions League club. You know, we cannot keep missing out on these big name players in our rebuild. So that part of the thing really scares me. If we continue like this into the way we're heading, we're just gonna sink deeper and deeper and deeper, and I don't know how we're gonna get out of it. If it has to be investing in, you know, prospects, or if, you know, Rich was saying about Enoch, you know, they've never really put any money into the club.
Sorry to stop you there, right? Do you know, whenever we lose a game, I think it's so easy as fans for all of us to say, yeah, but it's investment. We haven't invested. We didn't buy this player. We didn't buy this player. We didn't buy this player. We all know that the 11 players that Nuno picked, or whoever the manager is, we all know that 11 players can go out on that pitch and have some passion and to have some balls to go out there and try and win the game. And that's my problem at the moment. Yeah, we could all say, yeah, we could have bought this player, and spent 100 million, you know, 200 million pounds in the summer. But there are 11 good players going out on the pitch, so why are they not performing? I just think it's a cop out a lot of the time for us to just say, yeah, but we didn't buy X, Y, and Z.
But I don't think today's problem was, you know, passion or motivation or these type of things, because people say that, oh, where was the passion? Where was this? There were tackles flying in. I don't think we got it right today.
We have had 2 London derbies, Chelsea and Arsenal. There has been 1 yellow card from a Tottenham Hotspur player.
Yeah, but I'm talking about today's game. Today's game, I think we set up completely wrong tactics, completely wrong formation, completely wrong players. That midfield was wide open, and we didn't play to our strengths. And players, obviously, they played, they tried everything. They if they're set up the wrong way. So I think someone commented, I was looking on YouTube, we were set up to lose in a way. We never had a fighting chance. They just put the ball through us. We were trying to press within Ndombele and Dele Alli, Son, Harry Kane, and Lucas, and which left, you know, the back line completely exposed with Højbjerg in the middle all on his own. And they have pacey forwards, and they just ran through us. We were completely set up wrong today. And once Skip came in and put 2 holding midfielders, and then we really started to attack. We got a hold of the game. We started to play a little bit. But by then it was too late, because Arsenal defended, and they defended fairly well. You know, I didn't even think we were going to get 1 today. But we scored. And I was telling my brother who I was watching the game with, we need to score now, you know, at the 45th minute, if we have a chance to get back into it. Okay, the desire and the belief wasn't really there. You know, under Pochettino, they had belief that they were going to score. That belief. You know, we used to score in the last 10 minutes of every game, because Pochettino used to set out the team and they used to tell them, listen, go out, enjoy the game, play well, and they believed that they were going to score. I think no one is enjoying the football. Kane doesn't look happy. None of them believe that they're going to win today. None of them, I honestly think, none of them believed that they could win today. And they're fully capable of doing it, which is the shameful part. Because if he set the team right,
And there was that fighting mentality that we had under Jose, you know, when we kept a 0-0 at Chelsea. That team is capable of playing like that. That fighting mentality. You know, if we set up that way, yes, it's pragmatic. Yes, it's not the brand of football we want to see. But we could have gotten something out of the game. Either Palace, Chelsea, or today. 3 games.
Get up another fight. Chris, look at Brentford yesterday.
Yeah.
Went and took the game to Liverpool.
Yeah.
They went out there. They absolutely put a shift in, and they went, "Yeah, go on then. We'll go toe to toe with you. We'll have a little bit of it." Got a 3-3 draw out of it. Brentford,
Fantastic.
and they were a joy to watch as well. An absolute joy, fearless, fighting, wanting it, and they went and got a 3-3 draw versus Liverpool. They shouldn't be anywhere near Liverpool, to be honest. Absolutely nowhere near them. So that's the first marker and the first point you have to be at in a football team is you've got to want it and you've got to go and have that desire to go and want it as well. And then from now, everything cascades down from that. So it's like that and that's what we're missing. There just seems to be no heart, no desire, no fight in us. It is there. It's somewhere in there. Because the Man City game showed us that, and the Chelsea first half showed us that. So it is within those players. Nuno doesn't seem to be getting it out of them enough. So I don't know. Is there somebody out there that can come in and go, right, okay, let's go and get the fight? Like Pochettino used to. He made chicken soup out of chicken shit, like I've always said. He really did. He progressed us so much because he gave us a fight. He gave us the belief. He gave us the determination. He got let down on progressing on that with the players. But maybe we just need to go and find that type of manager again. They just don't seem to want that at the moment. And, you know, something's not right. Something's desperately not right at the moment.
Well, I mentioned about the bookings in these London derbies, and former Spurs legend Graham Roberts, who of course lifted the UEFA Cup for us, our last European trophy in '84. He's come out and said, "I don't think I've ever seen or played in a derby when the sub is the only person to get booked. No passion and no commitment first half. We need to wake up and start players to get shown enthusiasm for the badge. This is getting embarrassing." He then went on to say, don't want apologies on social media from players. I want action. Losing to Arsenal should always hurt like hell, despite both of us being very average at the moment. No time to feel sorry for ourselves. The players and management need to start performing. Comment on screen here, Crackers, from Jerome. We've just conceded 9 goals in 3 games back to back. No progression because the manager is out of his depth and players are just not interested at all. What positives do you see from Tottenham's opening few games of this season?
Well, I think there's some youngsters in that side that do want it. So the goalkeeper, Lloris, I think he's a fine goalkeeper, and I made this point the other night. He's going to be a massive loss when he goes, and I think it hurts him. Tanganga, he seems to want it. Romero. You're not a great defender in Serie A by accident. So I think he needs a bit of a run as well. When Brian Hill's come on, I don't know why are we dipping players in that want to come on and absolutely have a go. Skip wants to have a go. He seems to get it and want to have a little go. So there's a nucleus there of players. If you can get 5, 6, 7 players in your side, absolutely putting a shift in, the other 4 or 5 that, with a couple of subs and that have got to go, well, hang on a minute. I've really got to come and put this in here because everybody else around me is. So there is players there. There is players there that want it. I think Nuno's just got to be brave enough to turn around to 1 of 2 of those that are not wanting it and go, do you know what? You're out the side. he wants it more than you. I'm gonna play him. And at the moment, I wouldn't play on Dembele because he just looks like he's just not getting it. Ali, I'd give another kick up the arse to and go, sorry, you're not having it. And do you know what? The biggest statement of all would be Kane, and just say to him, you know what? Until you're interested, until you want to be involved, I know you want to go, but you know, if you're not going to play for us at the moment, see you later. You're out of the team, and just play Sonny, because I think Sonny's another one that wants it. So there's a spine through the team that seems to actually want it. And if I can see the players giving their all but getting beat, I'll take that all day long, Chris.
Exactly.
I will take
That's
that
exactly
all
my point.
day long, because, like, you know, there's. I'll take losing. Listen, I've been a Tottenham fan since '75. I've seen us lose enough, but and I'll take that. I'll take losing games, but I will never, ever, ever take us not trying to compete and not putting it in and not leaving everything out on the pitch. So I'll drop the slackers. Simple as that. And you know what? If the mob upstairs start getting in the manager's ear going, yeah, but like, you know, he was 65 million quid, he was 50 million quid, he might be 100 million, worth 100 million quid at the end of the season, you've got to play him. I'd tell them to do one and all. And I'd say, well, if you want me, if you want me to do that, then I'm not your manager and you better let me go. You either sack me and pay me up to 2 years, or let me manage this team. So I think Nuno needs to grow a pair and start going, right, okay, you're in the team because you fancy it. You're in the team, you fancy it. You and you don't fancy it, on the bench. See you later. And if Daniel starts like kicking up because it's like, well, no, listen, you know, we're going to lose money on him and you've got to play him, you've got to play that. Forget it. Tell him, well, that's the team. If you don't like it, get another mug in to run the team.
Crackers, do you believe that Nuno picks the team on his own, or do you think it's with Fabio Paratici as well? Because if he's on the bench, like you said, he's on the bench. He's the managing director of football. Do you think that he has a big say in the starting 11?
I'm sure he does, but do you know what? I'm sure it's the same at a lot of clubs as well. I think it's like he has to play. His agent's been on the phone this week. If he doesn't play, like, you know, we're going to start angling to get out of the club. So I think that's just modern football, Chris. To be honest, I think there's loads of that goes on. He needs to play. All of a sudden, one of the sponsors gets on the phone and says, like, why hasn't he played for 2 weeks? You know, we're putting in 150, 200 grand a week, like, into advertising, and we want to see one of our athletes in your side. You know, I think that side of the game is crazy, absolutely crazy. But like I said before, Fergie would have turned around and gone, don't care. That's my team. And he's putting it in and he's not. Yeah, but we'll withdraw our 200 grand a week sponsorship. All right, see you later. He still ain't playing. It's as simple as that. So, yeah, I think there's probably like way too many like cooks spoiling the broth at Spurs at the moment. And a lot of people probably getting picked by, you know, by proxy, by a little sort of council of people. So that's down to Nuno, though, isn't it, Chris? If that is happening, Nuno needs to turn around and go, hang on a minute, I'm the manager here. Like, you know, you go and buy me the players and I'll play them if they're good enough. And if they're not, I won't play them. And if you buy me too many players that are not good enough, then out the door they go. But again, that comes down to Daniel Levy. So if Daniel's like running the whole club, and he says to Nuno, well, Paratici's bought you this player, this player, and this player, this player, you're not playing them. And he says they're not good enough. Then either Daniel goes, well, you know, Paratici's not good enough and he needs to go. Or like, no, I back Paratici, you're not managing well enough, and you go. So there's your problem. But on top of that, Daniel Levy's got nobody to answer to. because all the time the tills are still ringing. So Joe Lewis is more than happy with what Daniel's doing, because like every home game, the tills ring. We're all buying the shirts. We're all buying the beers that fill up from the bottom. We're all buying the pizzas at half time. We're all buying this. We're all buying that. So the tills ring. Daniel's doing his job. So until that changes, we are where we are. It's a money game now. It's not football. It's just it's finances, and the finances are doing very well. Thank you very much. So that's where we are. That's the facts of it.
Well, let's talk about the football. Melvin, this comes to you. Talking about Tottenham starting 11, an hour before kickoff, of course, the team lineup come out. Hugo Lloris in goal, and then the back four of Tanganga, Sanchez, Dyer, and Reguilon. In midfield, Dele Alli, Højbjerg, Ndombele. Forward line of Lucas Moura, Harry Kane, and Heung-min Son. Now, it might have been a surprise to a lot of people that 4 of our brand new signings were all on the bench for this North London derby. Christian Romero, Brian Hill, Emerson Royale, and of course Pierluigi Golini as the goalkeeper. Were you surprised by that starting 11? Because as Cracker said there, Parachi's doing his job. He's bringing new players in. Nuno Espirito Santo saying, well, of course, these new signings are making our team and our squad better. But all of our brand new signings were on the bench. So the starting 11 was pretty much the starting 11 last season.
Yeah, because I don't know, it just seems it just seems this summer we haven't had the best window, so we haven't really improved the starting 11, like we really wanted it to. So we're still stuck with the same 11, bar Romero, who hasn't settled in yet. So I don't know, it seems Brian Hill is still too young, and he's still, developing and settling in. And even though when he comes in, the team looked a lot better, more on the front foot. So it's just going to take time. We're just going to have to be patient, and maybe we could do something in the January transfer window. Who knows?
Melvin, are these not just excuses, though? Or is it me just being, really annoyed at today's performance and result? Because we always seem to give excuses like, well, he's not ready. He's got time to bed in. He's got this. He's got that. Christian Romero, you said at the start of this stream, he was the best defender in Serie A last season. Why is he not going into that North London derby and giving absolutely everything? Why was he not in that starting 11?
Because Sanchez has played this fixture before. He's played it 3 or 4 times. Do you not put someone ahead of that? Because you have Premier League experience. You've played in the North London derby before. He's played at the Emirates. In my eyes, that was the correct decision, because Romero hasn't played more than 1 game in the Premier League or 2 games in the Premier League. He's still bedding in. He's still learning about his partnership with Eric Dyer or Sanchez or whoever plays next to him. So in my mind, that was the correct decision, even though we lost. I think playing Romero wasn't going to make the biggest difference. It wasn't going to make us win or get a point out of it. I think 1 or 2, I think the real miss today was Skip. Because there was, the second he came in, the team was solid again, and there was more protection. The second he came in, he made a difference. And I hope that he plays him and Højbjerg together till the rest of the season in the Premier League. Play Lo Celso in the cups. Play Ndombele in the cups. And I'm ready. I'm honestly ready to give up on Ndombele. I don't know. I can't see it working out. And last summer, we had too many players we needed to ship out. And we did a fairly decent job of moving players on and making room for new players. And I think we still have more players to ship on and to bring in new players that fit our system. Because we still have players in the team that don't give you, goals and assists other than Kane and Son. We lost Gareth Bale, who had like 11 goals last season. We lost, Vinicius, but he wasn't really impactful in the Premier League. We lost major goals, which we haven't replaced.
Gareth Bale actually scored 16 goals last season, and Carlos Vinicius scored 10, so that's 26 goals. You know, where are those goals going to come from, Melvin? You know, I know
we don't.
Carlos Vinicius scored the majority of his goals in cup competitions, but that's still a lot of goals to replace.
In the
Chris,
Premier
we've
League,
not even replaced Ericsson. We've not replaced Luka Modric. There's the problem.
It's because we're still suffering from. Sorry. We're still suffering from problems of 3 years ago, 4 years ago. We still have the same issues, which we haven't fixed yet. We don't have a backup striker. Kane is having a hard time. If we had a striker on the bench, if we had Danny Ings, I would have played Danny Ings instead of Kane. But like, sort your head out. You know, have a rest. You know, you're playing for Tottenham. You're still playing for us. You know, these are your fans. We support you. We support you, Kane. You know, you're here till the end of the season. Try to break the record. You know, play, because you'll end up regretting this once you retire. You know, if he retires and he leaves the club, does he really want his last season at Spurs, you know, scoring 8 or 9 goals in one season? Because that's what it's gonna look like this season. It looks like he's gonna have a poor season. He needs to sort himself out. We need Kane. You know, last season he carried us. You know, Jose, the way we played last season was we were setting Kane and Son to score. And this season it just doesn't seem there's that type of plan, you know, to get into these scoring positions. And it's going to take time. And it just doesn't happen overnight. You know, if these things happened overnight, you know, football would be an easy game, but it's not. At the highest level, it's not. It just takes time. And these partnerships takes months and months to get right between these strikers and the midfielders, and to get these, it doesn't seem like our football is flowing right. And it's a combination of having the wrong players playing in the wrong position and time. That's how I see it.
Crackers, let's go to this comment on screen now. Don't know who is to blame. Daniel Levy, the coach, the players. You must invest big to compete, or we should accept this club as run as a financial club, not a proper sporting club. Very similar to what you said earlier. Sell players that do not want us no more. I'm assuming that he's talking about Harry Kane here, is he?
It seems so, but you know, I think Rashad's quite right. Is that the main priority is just to keep the tills ringing, and the tills do keep ringing on a football aspect because people keep turning up. It's as simple as that. Listen, football's a drug, Chris. Like, you know, it's that thing of like, oh, I don't want to go today, but what if we win? And they know that. They know that the mug punters like me, like you, will keep turning up. No matter what gets served up, we will keep turning up. And that's the problem at the moment that we've got. That they know that the fans will turn up. Like, people have already spent £1,000, £1,500 on season ticket. How much are season ticket this year, Chris?
No comment.
Right, exactly. There you go, you know. And it's money that people can ill afford at the moment, but they pay it. And football is drugs. It literally is drugs. People will turn up and pay it and go to games because of maybe the what's if. And they're preying on this. They're not football people. And this isn't just Enoch. This is all the owners. They know that you will turn up week in, week out for football. So, you know, some of them kind of go, well, like, listen, let's try and make this like as good as possible, and let's invest in the team. But Enoch have a very different ethic to that. They're like, well, we know they're going to turn up anyway, like I said earlier in the show. So we don't need to concentrate so much on that. Let's look at other aspects of the business where we can generate money into the club. So it's that's where we are at the moment with these owners. Let's hope and pray that after last night's boxing, some lunatic with like £1 billion that would have been wiped out by James Bond a few years ago actually turns around and goes, oh, do you know what? I think I want that. I think I want a piece of that, and comes in and takes us. I'm hoping that like an Amazon or a Netflix comes in and goes, yeah, we'll have a bit of that. We'll start putting events on and we'll stream stuff there. And by the way, let's make sure that the football, the main principal point of what's going on now, is also right, so that we have Champions League money and event money and everything, and make the whole brand absolutely tip top. That's all we can hope for now, Chris, is that somebody comes in with, like, you know, just stupid, ridiculous amounts of money and comes and buys us and goes, right, okay, let's go toe to toe with PSG now. And then what we'll have is on a Friday night, we'll have Lady Gaga or the Foo Fighters playing in the stadium, and we'll take up all the boards. And then on Saturday, we'll have like the world's best players playing football there Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. And then what we'll do is we'll retract the pitch. And then on Sunday, we'll have like, listen, I don't know, NFL. We'll have like the Seattle, whatever they're called, versus like the Los Angeles, whatever they're called. And we'll have like boom, 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 3 days of events, and we'll stream them all on our platform. And people will go, oh, wow, it's all happening there. And what a place that is. Like, I watched Lady Gaga Friday night. I watched like the world's best footballers Saturday. And then on Sunday, I watched like the NFL, and that was off the scale, and it was three great events. I think that's our only hope now, to be honest, is that happens. It just looks like the football's being left behind for everything else at the moment. It really does. And that kills me. That absolutely kills me to see that, because the football's my only worry. I don't care where we play. I love that. The stadium is lovely, but I don't care if we're not there. If we, as I said, if we play on the street, I'm watching them from the curb. It's as simple as that. So that's like, we're in a crossroads at the moment of where the club is as a club in the whole big scheme of things. And I'm just worried that the football gets left behind for other things.
It's interesting you mentioned about the stadium there, Crackers, because I wouldn't be at all surprised within the next month or so, there's probably an announcement stating that somebody has bought the stadium rights, particularly after last night's event, because huge success. And every time the guy in the ring was saying, we're live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Chris, I watched on DAZN last night, and you can't, honestly, I lost count of the amount of times that the girl doing the presenting, who was very good, by the way, was saying Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the Spurs Stadium, the Tottenham Hotspur, the Tottenham Hotspur, the Tottenham Hotspur, the Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, it was almost as if the club had said, make sure you mention the name of this stadium without naming rights so many times that somebody, in one of these big companies goes, oh, hang on a minute. Do you know that, because somebody would have counted that, somebody at Amazon, somebody at Netflix, somebody at ICI, somebody at Levi's, somebody at Budweiser would have sat and gone, do you know last night that girl on DAZN said Tottenham Hotspur Stadium 110 times, 120 times. This is what these companies do. This is what they're all about. And they'd have gone, really? How many people was watching? Worldwide, there was 74 million people worldwide was watching that. Really? Oh, okay, right, okay. So, and then the bean counters go away. So we had 110 mentions across 74 million people. It's huge. It's absolutely huge. Somebody will come in the next month or so and go, oh, Daniel, can we have a little meet and a little chat about the naming rights of this stadium? So this brings me to the point that I made last night on social media, where that money goes. That's the kicker. Where does that money go? So if they all of a sudden hand over 150, 200 million pounds for the next 5 years, do they turn around to Paratici and go, here you go, Paratici, there's 150 million pounds for the next 5 years. Go and fill your boots. Or do they go, oh, there's been a pandemic. We need to pad out Enoch Holdings or Tavistock Group or whatever it is because we've had such a big loss, and make the books look healthy in case somebody comes along and goes, we'd like to buy your company, please. We'd like to buy Tottenham Hotspur. And they go, yeah, no problem. Okay, books don't look too healthy. Yeah, but listen, we've just put 150 million pounds into the company from a sponsorship deal. Where's that money going? No, that's in the club's coffers. Is that going on players? No, that's going in club's coffers. So that's the kicker now, where that money goes if it comes in. If that gets put into the team, then you've got to say, fair dues. Okay, let's see what we can go and do with that, because the richest clubs win everything. It's as simple as that in modern football now, isn't it? PSG, Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool, they you know, the rich clubs win everything, and the odd time somebody comes along like a Leicester and nicks a cup or nicks something out of it. Otherwise, the big rich clubs win stuff. So, you know, if that sponsorship deal comes along, let's see what happens with that money. I'm not so sure it's going to the football side, but let's see.
Melvin, it's interesting what Cracker says there, because as we've said, you know, hundreds of times, 2 years ago we're in a Champions League final, playing Champions League year in, year out, you know, really doing well in the Champions League. And then we've moved down to the Europa League. Now we're playing Europa Conference League. Now, we do need to get back to being a Champions League team with all of the facilities that we have, the great stadium, the players like Harry Kane, and of course the training facilities, etc. It's so important to get back into the Champions League, isn't it? With this stadium we have.
Yeah, the question is how's it going to be done? Is it going to be done with, like, you know, an injection of cash for players? Is it going to be done, you know, by buying prospects? Is it going to be done by coaching? That's, you know, the real question. Because honestly, how do you see us getting back into the Champions League?
Well, I can't see us wanting to wait an awful long time, because, you know, even this season, I think it is so imperative that we do get back into the Champions League. But, you know, having said that, it's all well and good us fans saying, well, we need to get back into the Champions League. You're absolutely right. How on earth do we do it? We have to spend more money on the pitch, because if we don't, all of the teams around us, you know, you look at the likes of Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, they're miles. It is miles ahead of us in terms of quality and in terms of depth. And, you know, when you look at games like last week against Chelsea, games like today against Arsenal, it's just, we look miles away, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We have good individual players that, you know, we can't just seem to find a system that they work well together. You know, if you look at them individually, they're good players, but we just can't seem to get the balance of the team right. You know, either we try to be too much on the front foot and suffer under these counter-attacks, or we play a style of football where we can't keep the ball. It's just a problem of we can't seem to get it right. You know, and I don't know what the solution is going to be, because we have good players at this club, you know, international players that we can easily, if they had, I don't know if it's a change of formation, if the coach is not good enough, I don't know how we're going to go forward and find ourselves in a position to get back into the Champions League. But this season, in the beginning, when we won 3 games in a row, honestly, I thought we could, you know, make it to the Champions League, because I started to see things. But these last 3 games, you know, completely changed my mind. I think, you know, we had Alex on the show, Chris, I think you remember, after the Watford game, and he was telling us these crazy things. And in that moment, I thought, you know, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. And I don't want to live in a world where Alex is correct, because he said we're going to finish 10th.
I just wanted to say to Crackers, just bring Crackers up to speed on this. We had Alex on the show, and lots of people were very negative about Alex's comments, because he actually told us that he believed that Tottenham would finish 10th this season. And of course, you know, all of us, including me, you know, winning 3 out of 3, we were like, no, that's not going to happen. We're not going to finish 10th. Come on. But, you know, he might be right.
Well, it sounds like Alex is a bit of a soothsayer, because at the moment, I think I'd snatch your hand off for 10th. When you look at our stats, 20th for this, 19th for that, 18th for that, we're all over the place. So, I mean, you know, our current stats for chances created, shots taken, running is relegation form. It's as simple as that. And those first 3 wins that we got, if we carry on the way we've been playing in the last 3 games, might just get us out of trouble. Those 9 points, they might just get us out of trouble. So something has got to change, and change very, very soon. It really has. It's a worry, Chris. It is a real worry, because at the moment we're on such a slip and slide. So, and I don't see where our next 3 points is coming from. It is a real worry, because we look so, you know, we've got such a glass chin. As soon as somebody puts us under it, we look absolutely out of it. I mean, Anthony Joshua last night seemed to be such an embodiment of Spurs at the moment. You know, so much prospect, so much like expectation, and somebody comes into his own backyard and absolutely smashes him to bits. So, I mean, it seemed quite apt that he was fighting at Tottenham last night. He seemed to be the boxing equivalent of Tottenham. And at the moment, we are really, really under the gun. And, you know, Melvin was saying maybe Romero's not ready, maybe Hill's not ready. Well, the current players certainly don't look ready. I would start the likes of Romero. I would start Hill. I would start Emerson. And I would inject some new blood into this side and just give it a bit of a go. I'm telling you, that Brian Hill is absolutely ready to start games. He is so rated where I live here in Spain. He's technically, he's absolutely incredible. And do you know what? Do you know how you make him better? Throw him in and play games. He's fearless, the boy. You can see he's absolutely fearless. He wants to have a go. He wants to go and drive at defenders. He wants to drive down the wing now and get some crosses across. So look, nothing. What we're doing at the moment isn't working. So we've got nothing to lose. But I'd rather see us losing 3-0 and trying something new than losing 3-0 3 weeks on the spin just by keep playing those same players. And you know what? If we bombed out a couple of those current players and put in the likes of Hill, Romero and Emerson into the team, it might just give a kick up the arse to those other players that think, oh, hello, I ain't in the side no more here. And
will it though, Crackers?
He's tearing up. Well, do you know what? It might just do. It might just. If 1 or 2 of them come in and hit the ground running and actually look pretty decent, if you're a player that was in that position and you go, oh, hang on a minute, like, you know, he's come in, he's after my position here, they might actually put a little bit more in. And I think that's what you need. I think you need healthy competition in a squad. And I think you need somebody up behind you that really, really wants to take your place. Because if somebody wants to knock you off of your perch, nothing's gonna like G you up more than that. It really isn't. It, like, you know, because it's embarrassing if you're a player that was in a team and gets bombed out. All of a sudden, you don't look such a great prospect. Simple as that. And I would give Brian Hill a start. I really would.
Well,
I'd start him every week.
I was going to ask that, Crackers, because he was one of the standout, if not the standout player against Wolves on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. Were you surprised that he didn't get the start today? Particularly
I was.
With the likes of Lucas Moura coming back from injury.
I really was, because like where I live in Spain, my youngest lad's coach used to be a coach in La Liga. So he's, you know, he coached the youth there. I'm not quite sure where he was, but he's a very, very well-respected coach. So he still speaks to a lot of the La Liga coaches that are still doing the youth and everything. When we signed Brian Hill, he said to me, I can't believe you've got him. To be honest, I thought he would go to a Madrid or a Barca, or he would go to Germany, or he'd go to a Chelsea or a Man U. He went, he's a stunning player. Technically, he's absolutely stunning. And the thing with Spanish culture is you've got to be very, very special to be raved about. Yeah, it's not like the UK. If you have a couple of good games in England, you're the next big thing. Out here, forget it. Like, they're really, really not easily impressed. But there's a few people at clubs that were saying that Brian Hill is some player. He really is a player. So I don't care about his age and everything. He needs to start for me. He really, really does need to start. He's got no fear. He's got bags and bags of talent. He's got an engine to die for. I mean, I don't think I've seen a player with an engine like him since Tony Galvin. And there's a man that has an engine on him, by the way. He's up and down and up and down. So I'd give him a start. I'd give him a go, because he really will give defenders of the opposition something to think about.
Melvin, let's come to you. Just want to talk finally about today's game. Obviously, the defeat at the Emirates Stadium 3-1. Smith Rowe scored in the 12th minute, putting Arsenal 1-0 up. Aubameyang then got the second in the 27th minute. Saka then put Arsenal 3-0 up in the 34th minute. When it went 3-0 after those three goals, how were you feeling? Did you think that we were going to concede more? Did you think Nuno Espirito Santo would change anything? And feel free to talk about those three goals where we could have been improved and perhaps stopped them scoring.
I was looking at the substitutions that he was going to make. I was looking at that to see what his reaction would be. I was surprised about, him taking off Tanganga, which was strange. But then I figured out he was going to start attacking with the right back and left back. And Skip coming on changed the game a little bit towards our favor, but still not good enough. With the goals we conceded, we made it easy for Arsenal, because they just walked through our midfield, which was non-existent at the time. If you compare it to the City game, where we're so compact in the middle, and we made it so difficult for them, where they couldn't get the ball through us and they had to go wide. And we defended well, and when they crossed the ball in, our defenders did well. And why didn't we set up the same way we set up against City? If it works, you don't really change a system or a team that wins. So that's what I was thinking. The players were all there. We didn't have any injuries, and we could have played the same way, the same players we played against City. So if we would have played, a bit more pragmatic, we would have held them to less chances. Their goals were so easy. They were coming up, four Arsenal players versus 4 Spurs players. It's so easy to attack that way. And whenever we attacked them, it just seemed that they had the numerical advantage every single time. And we couldn't get the ball out. We were forced to do long balls. I don't know, it just seems we're worse than we were under Jose. And that's something that's really painful to say, because we were very poor under Jose, and somehow we just seem worse now after a couple of games. And we shouldn't be. We should be better. We should be improving. And there's not really signs that we are. Last season in our first few matches, we scored so many goals. 6 against United, and we scored so many against Southampton. We were scoring goals. Yes, we were conceding, but we scored goals. And we're struggling now for some reason to score. Okay, Kane had an extremely good season, and he didn't have the saga that he had this summer. But he's a professional player. He should have been able
in a way to bring it back, to find his form, create his own chances. It just seems to me that, I don't know, it just seems there's something behind the scenes that we either don't know about, that either that will come out in the future, that we'll hear about it, that, I don't know, it just seems to me really strange at the moment, because you look at the City performance, and today the players are capable of playing that style of football, of putting a real shift in, really, dying for the team. And today just looks completely different. You look at the first game at White Hart Lane, and that match, we were so proud of the team and so happy, and it's just completely different today. It's the opposite. They said we're going to put Tottenham back and be proud of the club again, and we're just not. The progress that we've made, it's not really anything to look forward to. We bought some players, but some promising players, but it's just not good enough at the moment. And I don't know how many more seasons can we keep saying we have to be patient, we have to wait, and it's just the same story again and again and again. And the thing is, I'm not a person to start yelling ENIC out, this out. I'll support the team, I'll support the club, because I'm a Spurs supporter. It's in the name. I'll always support the club, and I'll always support the team, and I'll try to be positive. I won't be negative. I won't be shouting Levy out, ENIC out. My voice isn't strong enough or powerful enough to make any sort of change, but my voice in the stadium, if I was to support the club, would be heard. So that's what I do, and that's how I look at football as a Spurs fan. I'll support the club, and it just seems, I don't know, it's so difficult to take a loss like this, because we've lost against Arsenal and Chelsea before, even under Pochettino, when we had a really, really good side. We've lost these fixtures before, so why is this one so much more painful? Because we've lost these fixtures before.
Yeah, but I just think it's the lack of passion. I really do, Melvin. I as I say, I feel very angry. Sitting in the Emirates Stadium, watching fans go out. When Arsenal went 3-0 up, a number of Spurs fans went out the stadium. That was it. They were done. And a few people walked past me and said, "How much more of this crap can you put up with?" I stayed to the very end. There weren't many people in that away end, and I just think everybody is questioning the whole passion of every single player at the moment. And as I keep saying, if you can't show passion in games against Chelsea and against Arsenal, I don't know where we go from here. But Spurs are now down to 11th in the Premier League. It just seems crazy, doesn't it? When we played 3 games, we won 3, we were sitting top. We've now lost our last 3. We've got a goal difference of -5. We've got 9 points. Arsenal have gone into 10th, same goal difference as us. But last question for you both. We have now got Mora in the Europa Conference League on Thursday. And then, of course, our next Premier League game is against Aston Villa on Sunday. And it's funny, Crackers, because our good friend Anthony Costa actually phoned me on the way back, from today's game. And, we were discussing, saying, if you could choose a Premier League team now to face in our next league game, who would it be? Who can we beat? And we were both really struggling. We were saying, we would beat Norwich at home. We were going for all these teams. No disrespect to any of these clubs. If you could pick, a Premier League game to play next, who would it be? Because Aston Villa are going to be a difficult opponent on Sunday, aren't they? Just beat Manchester United at Old Trafford.
Yeah, no, exactly. They're going to be very, very difficult. There is no easy games in the Premier League, and that's why the Premier League is the most watched league in the world. It's as simple as that, because there's no procession with it. It's technically not the best. I watch La Liga, and it's miles ahead of the Premier League. But for entertainment, and maybe they can beat that team, and that team can beat that team. That's why it's so watched, because in La Liga, a Brentford in La Liga doesn't get a draw against a Liverpool in La Liga, but they did yesterday. So there's no easy games. So there's nobody I want to play next. There really isn't, because of the way things are. Unless somebody goes in to Spurs and goes, right, stop, foot on the ball. That's it. I'm not having this anymore. You and you. I'm not having it. No, we're just not. We can't carry you anymore. And I'm giving you a chance, you a chance, and you a chance. Because, like I said to you earlier, Chris, I will take losing all day long, but I will not take today's gutless, spineless, passionless performance. It's as simple as that. And, you know, if it, you know, like the film McVicar with Roger Daltrey, when he's in prison and he plays McVicar, and all the prison wardens come into the cell, and he's faced with like 6 or 7 of them, and he goes, all right, come on in. He went, but I'll be the best fucking second you'll ever see. Right, and he goes at them, and that's all I want. That's all I want to see. If we come second, fine, no problem. But if we come second, absolutely giving it everything, I'll take that all day long. I'll take get relegated if everybody's absolutely giving everything. But this team is good enough, if they give everything, to do more than that, to actually do something. So something somewhere within that club has got to change. And I think that comes down to Nuno, you know. I think he needs to go and kick Levy's door down tomorrow and say, right, get him off the bench, Paratici and Itchin. I don't want them now. I'm managing this team. This is my team. And I want him to go in and get all the people like Undembele and Dele and go, do you know what? Unless I see you absolutely putting it in training this week, you're out the team. And if you don't like it, see you later. That's all I want to see. I just want to see some big ballsy decisions at Tottenham. That's all I want. I want to see people like Brian Hill start. I want to see Romero start, who I quite like the look of when he came on, actually. I want to see these players get given a go. Tanganga, he looks like he wants to have a go, most like, you know, in games. So start him. Skip, he wants to have a go. Start him. If Kane, I'd set up a meeting with Kane if I was Nuno, and I'd go, look, I know you don't want to be here, but are you going to put a shift in for me or not? Simple as that. Jose was right. When we saw that Amazon documentary, first thing out of his sewer when he spoke to Dele, he said to him, are you Dele or Dele's brother? And he was spot on, you know.
He was frustrating today, Crackers, wasn't he?
Oh, man. But like Jose, like, I know people didn't like him. I didn't like him much. But do you know what? If the club had stepped up to Jose's level, we might have actually done something. Do you know that? It's just that he couldn't get the club and the players to step up to him, but he was fighting the tide so much that it ended up he just couldn't get anywhere. We've not got enough balls in this team. We've not got enough leaders in this team, and we've not got enough people that want it in this team. And there's so many elements within that club that all need to go, hang on a minute, we've really got to start stepping up here. The chairman, the directors of football, the people buying players, the manager, everyone. It just needs to be a little bit. Do you know what I'd love to see? Like a Royal Rumble, throw them all in a ring and have a great big tear up and a big old sort out. That's what I'd like to see, and a big clear the air thing, because it just seems like there's so many different factions and elements within the club that are all doing their own, all protecting their own positions, all like sort of doing their own thing politically, and like, you know, just sort of like, oh, no, I'm doing my thing this way, I'm doing things. Somebody needs to come in and go, right, you and you need to do this. This is what you need to do. So until that happens, I think this is what we're going to get. we've just got to be a bit more ballsy, Chris. It's as simple as that. And if we are, there's the players there to do it. But like, you know, if that happens against Aston Villa and we sort of go a little bit balls out and actually try and take a game to them, we should beat them. We should beat them. We've got the personnel to beat them. But at the moment, we're shrinking. We're no confidence. Somebody needs to go, right, come on, that's it. Let's go. Is there somebody at the club to do that? I don't know.
Well, I didn't think you'd get me smiling on this video, Crackers, so thanks for that. Melvin, let's come to you. How do you see these next two games? Mora on Thursday night in the Europa Conference League, and then, of course, Aston Villa. It's probably a funny thing to say, but our 7th Premier League game, this almost feels like a must-win, because after losing 3-0 against Palace, 3-0 against Chelsea, you know, a defeat in the North London derby today, we have to win our next league game, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Otherwise, it will completely derail, you know, the rest of the season in a way. If we lose another game, you know, 4 games in a row, we have to get it right, and we have to win. You know, we need the 3 points. You know, why is it every time people around us drop points, we immediately just go, okay, we'll drop points too then, because we don't. Why do we keep doing that every single season? When people around us drop points, I'm all of a sudden thinking we're going to lose as well, because that's what always happens. We have to win against Villa. It's going to be obviously a difficult match. Hopefully, you know, I agree with the players. We should be playing these young guys, because I think under Jose, once when players like Ben Davis, Sergio Aurier, when these guys made mistakes, or maybe Toby or Musa Sissoko, we used to think we're letting these guys who are older in their career and they don't have much in their Tottenham career left. We're letting you make mistakes that cost us points in the cups, in the Europa League, in the league. But if we play these young players like Tanganga and Skip and Brian Hill, these guys are for the future. So if they make a mistake like Tanganga did against Crystal Palace, I'm ready to accept and close, you know, an eye, because you're for the future. You're going to give us another 8 years of playing. You're going to learn from this mistake. You're going to be a better player next season. You know, like Kyle Walker and Danny Rose were for us. These players made mistakes. They learned their trade at a young age, and we were patient with them, and we reaped the rewards because they did very well for us, and they played for many seasons. So in my eyes, we should play the younger players that we're going to benefit from in the next 5 to 8 years. If we play players to win now, we're not going to succeed. I think, I don't know, it doesn't seem like there's the players we have from Pochettino. I think some of them have been at the club for so long that in a way they've lost the enjoyment of football. I think some of them just play it as a job. It doesn't, and you see these young players coming in, and they have this raw energy about them and this passion for the game. And some of the players that we have from 5-6 years ago just don't have it anymore. As much as we love these players, and I'm not going to name any names, and everyone knows which players are not good enough for the club, it just seems that they don't have the same love for the game that some of the young guys do. You look at Japhet Tanganga, the first couple of matches, his performances, you know, his energy, his tackles. And so play the young guys. You know, if they make mistakes, at least they'll be learning from these mistakes. Yes, we need to get back into the Champions League, but we're still building and rebuilding, and it's going to take time for us to get there. And I won't be surprised, you know, if we get a draw against Villa. Obviously, we need to win, but they just beat Manchester United, so they're still a strong squad. You know, they have a very good team, and every game in the Premier League is a difficult match. Any team will give you a difficult match. You have to be 100% on it to get a victory, it just seems to me. if you're if you're off the pedal just a little bit, you're gonna get punished. And it just seems that we don't have the concentration yet, and even the ability. Sometimes, sometimes we lack in the ability or in the final bit. I think it's that we're at a stage in our club where we have everything. We have the best stadium, like Richard said, best training ground, best facilities, best everything. But we have that final bit missing, which is the most important thing after all. We have that final, which we haven't gotten right. And until we get that right, we're not going to be happy. And one day, hopefully, we will get it right. And we'll get that balance, that squad, and we'll have money into the club. And hopefully one day we'll get it right. But until that happens, we're still, we're still the same club. We still make mistakes, and I don't know. It's going to take time, and I don't know what the answer is or the solution is. Maybe Alex can tell us, because it seems that he knows what's going to happen this season, and we just, I don't know. I don't want to live in a world where Alex is correct. I want to live in a world where I'm correct, and we're gonna finish into the top 4.
I'll tell you what, Melvin. If I had £1 for every time I heard that saying, it's going to take time. It's always, it's going to take time all the time. Now, Crackers, before we go, tell everyone what you've been up to, because of course you've been over in the UK. I know you're back in Spain now, but any other shows coming up?
Yes, I have. I'm back over in November. Well, firstly, in October, I'm in Dublin doing a benefit night for Jimmy Greaves. It was going to be for his nursing and care, but obviously Jimmy very sadly died last week. And listen, I know there's a few Arsenal fans watching, and massive respect to them today for the minutes applause that they gave for Jimmy at the start of the game. Everyone to a man was stood up and giving a clap. So, I know we have our rivalries and that, but same as when David Rocastle died, Spurs fans absolutely honoured the minute silence for him. And today the Arsenal fans done the same for Jimmy Greaves. So, listen, well done, every Arsenal fan that done that today. October the 8th, Friday the 8th, might be the 9th. I've not got my calendar in front of me. We're having a fundraiser for the Jimmy Greaves Foundation over in Dublin Spurs. So have a look on at Mr. Cracknell on the socials, and there'll be details of that. In November, I'm over doing some nights. 12th, I'm in Worcester. Worcester Cricket Club with Clive and Paul Allen, who are fantastic, and the great meat hooks coming along as well. Terry Naylor, I think he was a bit before you, Chris, wasn't he? Terry, yeah, he was. But listen, what a left back he was for us. He was incredible. So he's coming along for the night as well, signing some books. So. But with Clive and Paul Allen, who are brilliant, so I'll be interviewing them. The 13th, I'm with Glenn Hoddle in Dartford. That's a complete sellout.
Crackers, can I ask, right?
Yes.
You interview all of these legends, and you spend so much time with them. What is that like? Because of course, most people who watch this channel never even met any of the legends. Can you give us a little bit more of an insight on what some of these characters are really like?
Do you know what? They're all really, really good, down-to-earth people who have the same hopes and fears as everybody else. That, are my kids well? Can I pay the gas bill this month? Some of them maybe not, that have earned good money out of the game. But they're just regular people turning up to do a job. It just happens to be football. So... they're all really, really good people. They're just it's weird, especially with Glenn. When I interview Glenn, because he was my hero as a kid, I sit on stage and I'll ask him a question and he'll go, well, Crackers, da-da-da-da. And then I'll go, he called me crackers. He knows who I am. Yeah, even now, I'm 52 years old and I've worked with him 6-7 times, and I'm still like, that's Glenn Hoddle I'm talking to here. It is, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel absolutely privileged to do what I do and speak to him on stage. I really, really do. But I do every night like it's my first night or my last night. I put everything into it. I do my research. I ask me questions, and I just talk to people like you would if you was bumping into them in a pub or a cafe or something, and just talking to them. Chris, you've spoken to them, and the more you just speak to them on a human level, the more you get out of them. So I'm really, really, I feel really blessed to do what I do. Absolutely love doing it as well. And I know what people get from the nights, because all the nights I do, people can come and actually meet the players and get stuff signed, and then hear the stories as well. They're fantastic entertainment and fantastic value. Tickets are like sort of 40-50 quid, but if you turn up with a couple of shirts to get them signed, they'll sign them for you. Couple of selfies as well, and 2-3 hours of entertainment. I'll tell you what, it's 50 quid well spent more than buying a ticket for a game at the moment. That's for sure. It really is. So
do you know, Cracker? One time I met Terry Naylor. He was telling me about that he got on the tube after a cup final, and he's just he's so normal, isn't he?
Oh, incredibly. What's the pub just along the Crown? Is it just along from the stadium? If you go where the corner pin used to be, the pub next door to that, between the corner pin and where the toilets are, there's a pub there. I can't quite remember the name of it now.
I think it's changed its name now. I think it's number 8 or something.
Yeah, I think it is. But after games, the players used to go in there for a drink after a game. And if they'd won a game, they'd go in there and everybody would buy them a drink. If they'd lost a game, they'd go in there and say, sorry, chaps, and buy all the boys a drink. It's just like, can you imagine Harry Kane and like Heung-min Song just like rolling up in the pub next door to the ground now? It'd just be... but that's what they used to do. That's how football used to be. It's crazy.
Well, Melvin, let's finish. With a little bit of laughter. If you could walk into a pub right now with the Spurs team in it, who would you go up to, and who would you ask a question about today's performance?
I don't know really. I think maybe Harry Kane.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know what I would ask. I would just be like, what's going on? Why are you playing the way you're playing? Because it's not like him. Last season, we used to talk about him in such an incredible way because he used to have these incredible touches. He used to be so intelligent on the ball, and just the things he would do, it just were incredible. Just you see Kane, and he doesn't have the speed of Mbappe, but he makes up for it with these incredible passes, incredible first touches. He wins you fouls. In this season, it's just not there. He looks like Vincent Janssen this season.
Wow.
I can't make Melvin wrong. Make Melvin wrong. He's not interested. He just doesn't look interested, and he needs to be interested. He's such a keystone in that side. He's got to be interested, Chris. Yeah. And if not, then we're in trouble. He really is, and maybe him staying and him not being that happy in that side is having a big effect in that dressing room.
Yeah.
I think
it could be that.
What I think it is, he's always played, for the shirt and for the fans and for the club because he loves Spurs. But I think he gave up a little bit on the club, and I think he really thought he was going to get his move this season. And when that fell through, maybe he felt a bit betrayed, lied to. And it's like, if that happens, it's like he sort of fell out of love with the club in a way, but he still loves the fans for all the support. we gave him, and even with his statements that he's made, they weren't fully, you know, it's not like he said, I love the club, I want to have a good season, looking forward to the season. It's like, you know, he said, I'm staying with the club this summer, and all these little things, little hints that he's not maybe quite 100% there, and these things are probably, you know, holding him back, because he always played and gave his heart out for the club, and you could see it, and it's just in the season it's just not there.
Well, I honestly can't believe that we've been talking for nearly 2 hours on this stream. So Crackers and Melvin, I can't thank you enough for your time tonight. So thank you very much indeed. Crackers, thanks so much.
No, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Melvin. Listen, thank you, everybody that tuned in. And how old-fashioned am I? Tuned in, logged in, and it coming on cyberspace and joined us this evening and had to hear what we say. And we want the best for the club, you know. And like nobody. I don't like to talk negatively about us. I want us to be talking about the club in positive terms, and but you know, sometimes that can't happen, and I want things to be right there. It's just it's a club that can be so much, but it's just not reaching its potential at the moment, and we deserve that, and you know, everybody that went before in the club deserves that as well. So look, you know, we stay behind the club, whatever, and you know, let's hope that Nuno can turn it around. You got to get behind the man who's there at the time, which is Nuno at the moment, and let's just hope that he can make things better and get us back on a better footing and do something this season.
Well, I've got to say, everyone, if you don't follow Richard Cracknell on social media, please do head over there. Lots of very funny content and lots of great content as well. Melvin, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for the invite. You know, I'm always invited at the worst moments. You know, when we got knocked out.
You are actually. You are.
I am. When we got knocked out of the Europa League, when we lost the cup to Manchester City, I've been here at the darkest moments of you know, in the last year and a half. I think maybe I should have a break and don't invite me on anymore, so we actually win. Because every time I'm invited, it's always, you know, a horrible victory. Oh, sorry, a horrible defeat, or we get knocked out of something.
Well, at least we know where to blame. At least we know where to put the blame, Melvin.
Yeah, you can all blame it on me.
Well, thanks
Cheers,
so much
Chris.
Thanks so much to everybody who's tuned in, as Cracker said, tuned in. Who's provided lots of comments and super chats tonight. Can't thank you all enough. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. Another big week for Tottenham Hotspur. As I said, more in the Europa Conference League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Thursday, and then of course back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday. Back in Premier League action. Tottenham need to get back to winning ways. Let's hope that we can get 3 points in the Conference League and 3 points in the Premier League, so we are all smiling yet again. Thanks so much, everyone, and come on, you Spurs.